Hey, look, before we talk about Ziggler, talented cat. Your thoughts on him? You like him, right?
I do like him. I don't know. You know what, Steve? I think Dolph. It's a different world, with all the honesty and the internet, and you kind of shoot straight with your fans. And I don't know sometimes if he knows where to draw the line between the character and the guy. And somebody said, watch at real Mick Foley's expression. And this was at the Comic-Con probably 2 years ago, or maybe it was a year ago. It was a year. And Dolph, they asked how you move up the card. And he goes, well, you try to work your best with this guy. You try to have the best match you get with this guy. And then maybe end up taking John Cena's 5 moves. And it's not that John's a vindictive guy, but no top guy likes to be spoken of that way.
Right.
And I believe you may have had an issue if one of the guys on the ladder had spoken of you that way.
Well, it's true. I only had about 3 or 4 moves, not even 5. So, giving Cena credit for 5 is an incredible compliment. So, see, I don't think you want to speak like that. Dude, that guy's had a hellacious run. And he's probably still right in the middle of it. I think he's got another 5-6 years left in him. And he's going to go down as one of the greatest champions of all time. And that's a straight-up shoot from Steve Austin. So I got nothing but respect for him. But with Ziggler, I don't really know what or who a Dolph Ziggler is. And I've talked to him at a couple of the functions and Make-A-Wish things at L.A. a couple of years ago when WWE came to town. And I like the guy. I love his work. I'd like to see him a little more physical in the ring. I'd like to see him establish a go-to hold. Yeah. I'd like to see a little bit more offense from him. And I don't mean offense in the vein of a high spot, offense in working an arm and punishing a guy. Yeah, your job as a babyface, heel's going to make you look good. You shine, maybe out wrestle him, get a little bit of heat, feel sorry for him. You come back, high spot or 2, go home, and it is what it is, where the finish is. But he just needs to establish himself a little bit more and be a little bit more dominant in the ring. Stronger, I dare say. Yeah, you heard it, Mick. I can't hear stronger. I can say that on the Steve Austin Show Unleashed because that's what it is. No, your thoughts on my critique.
I like your viewpoint. I think as wonderful as he is in the ring, there is the sense that he is going to put on a great show every night. And I think sometimes you need to be able to suspend disbelief to where you understand you're not watching a show. I think he would have gotten there. He was on the right road, and somebody pulled the plug.
Sometimes, Jack, whatever. Goddamn, we've known each other for, 93, 4?
89?
Nah,
yeah, 90.
But it's a real interesting story. I guess DDP, someone, maybe Jake told me this story, but when Jake was brought in to WWF by Vince, and Jake's going out, he's trying to have good matches with everybody, right? You think that's the right thing to do, have a good match with everybody. He wasn't getting over. Finally, Vince pulls him aside and says, what are you doing? Jake says, what do you mean? Trying to have good matches. He goes, I didn't bring you in here to get good matches out of you. I brought you in to get over. Meaning you got to get over, then go have those good matches with everybody.
Yeah.
Because then you can draw some money. Well, and sometimes, that's a road that I never really had to go down, and everybody finds their way a different way. And I think it's going to be from him taking more than giving more in the ring. And sometimes, it's a 50-50, a 60-40, 70-30. You can place a percentage on it.
One of the most uncomfortable matches I ever had, and Sean Waltman will tell you the same thing.
And they're hard matches.
Is when I thought I needed to look strong to work with Hunter, and he wanted to have a good match. And it was like, I like this guy. I respect this guy. I completely understand where he's coming from, but I strongly feel like I need this. And it's really hard.
You don't have that in your personality, and I don't. I hate to be a selfish guy in the ring, but sometimes you just gotta, and sometimes you need that agent to step in and say, you know what, here's what we need. And this is a conversation we had last week when the weight got taken off your shoulders and mine to ride off in the sunset. Yeah. Sometimes you need that agent to come in and say, look, you and I, hey, listen, Mick, we need Steve at about 70-80% in this match. You understand? And that leaves you 20 to 30.
I remember when Jerry Briscoe was there for me when I debuted the day after WrestleMania with Bob Holly. And Bob's a tough son of a gun.
Yep.
And Bob wanted to get his stuff in. And Jerry was there to let Bob know that I had to get over, needed to get over. And I told him I would gladly repay him at another time. Not a knock on Sean. It's just saying when you're up there, you have these very difficult decisions to make. And sometimes you need to look good. One of the biggest moments defining moment in my career took place in Japan when I had Shoji Nakamaki underneath.
Say that 3 times fast.
Shoji Nakamaki, known to ICP fans as Lama Nama Numi. I had him, Lama Nama Numi. And I had him underneath the bed of nails. And I knew I was going to drop an elbow on him. And it's my instinct as a pretty kind and benevolent human being to take care of the man underneath that bed of nails. Angel said, don't you dare drop that elbow as hard as you can. And the devil pops up, you're going to make this son of a bitch look good. I didn't think I had a sadistic bone in my body, and I came down pretty hard with that elbow, and I heard him screaming underneath those nails. He was screaming. It was caught in his head. He was like, trying to dig nails out of his head. And I just remember thinking, like, that's pretty cool. And I didn't know I had that. I really didn't know I had that. And I made it a point when I wrestled Randy Orton in 2004 to find those matches in Japan, and I cut the promo where it wasn't that match. It was specifically a different match where Rick Patterson, big guy from Edmonton, had it was either Nakamaki or Ono, another one of the baby faces there for IWA Japan, in a backbreaker, and I had that barbed wire wrapped around my arm, and I came off with that elbow, and Patterson, gave him the little flip, and it looked like dynamite. And I looked up at that camera and gave it the bang bang. And when I saw that, I'd like watch it back and I'd rewind it, and I'd be like, on the surface, I would tell myself, I'm here in IWA Japan because I'm a father with 2 kids and I have a mortgage to pay. There's part of me that does not hate being here. There's part of me that really thrives on being here, not just taking the punishment, but giving it out a little bit. And when I came back to WWE, I had that experience, and I knew what it felt like, and I knew what was necessary to get over. And I was able to use those lessons and to assert myself in those situations when I needed to get over. And I'm being honest, no one's got the great Mick Foley badass story. There's no stories about me taking on 8 guys in a bar,
right.
But I would stand up for what I thought was right. And I would risk taking a beating for it. If I thought it was right for business, I would gladly stick up for my right to look good in that ring.
Can Dolph Ziggler get over?
Yes. He just needs someone to believe in him and give him the chance and state the goals cleanly. If say you were in that dressing room, say for 2 weeks they make you his agent, and you spell it out to him.
Right.
If he's listening to this podcast.
Right.
Like, as an entertainer, Dolph goes on his off nights and does comedy, unpaid, unbilled guest sets. Like, he's going to be good at everything he does, whether it's amateur wrestling and building up that stellar career or having matches that are state-of-the-art in our business. But when my 11-year-old goes, this is a great match, but Dolph Ziggler is going to lose because he's Dolph Ziggler, there's a problem.
Right.
And I think if he was able, honestly, he needs somebody to be willing to put that plug back in and give him
I think it's a bit more offense. I think it's establishing not just one go-to hold, but just establishing a hold. One time we were going down the road. We're going to take a break right after this. We're going to talk about promos. One more story from the road. Myself and Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, used to travel down the road in the WCW for a period of time. And he had worked with Paul Roma that night. Before, I guess, they put them in a tag team together. A pretty good tag team. But anyway, there they were working a single. And Paul Roma's a very athletic guy, good drop kick, arm drag, can work. And of course, Paul Orndorff always gets a good heat, shine a guy up, just trademark, straight ahead, good hand.
Yeah.
Heel or baby, better as a heel. And then I tell you what, I saw him grab a damn arm bar on Paul Roma, and he just stood over him. Paul was seated. Paul Roma was seated. Paul Orndorff was standing, good deep arm bar, and just pulling on that arm, and it just represented power. It was a house show. The lights were what they were, so it was better lighting than TV. It wasn't too bright. And it really resonated with me. And so we were driving down the road, and I said, man, that's a badass match you had with Paul Roma. I said, you know what was my favorite part of the match? He goes, let me think. He went about 2 or 3 miles down the road. He was driving. He goes, it's when I had that arm bar on him.
How'd he know?
I said, how'd you know? He goes, this is exactly from Paul Orndorff's lips. He goes, because it was power. He goes, you knew I had control of him. It was power. And I said, I guess you're right, because it resonated with me. And it was just the picture of who was in control right there at that time and who was dominant. So anyway, We're going to take a little pause for the calls and come back and finally
talk about promos.
Mick, can you cut a promo?
Oh, heck yeah.
All right, we're coming back with Mick Foley. Talk promos, word from our sponsors.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on Podcast One.
Do you own a home or condo? Or perhaps you rent a house or apartment? Sure you do. And Geico knows it can be hard work. Because whether you own or rent, you still have to fill it full of your stuff. Your furniture, the flat screen, and all the boxes of stuff that have been sitting there ever since you moved in, but haven't unpacked. It's hard to find the time, right? But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. That way, you'll rest easy knowing that your home and all your stuff is protected. Plus, getting a quote on homeowners and renters insurance is super easy through Geico. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. You know, like going through all those boxes of stuff. Visit geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today.
Unleashed.
All right, here we are.